How are you? Welcome again to American Cooking. And today I'm going to wax vainly about my home, the Pacific Northwest. Ivor Haglund, a dear friend, was one of our great food patriots of the Pacific Northwest. He died just a few years ago, and every clam in the bay stopped smiling and looked sad. Ivor, here's to you. Now, to show you some clams, in the Pacific Northwest we eat clams like mad. When you make a good clam dish, be sure and wash them well. I soak my clams. These are a small butter clam. Well, let's see, there's a couple butter clams. Oh, I won't sort out the different kinds. Anyhow, small clam, and you soak them in water, fresh water for a while, so that they spit out the mud that they have in their little bodies, you see? So here's what we do. I've soaked them for about an hour in fresh water, and now I want to prepare clams and white wine sauce. So easy. Put about 1/4 cup of olive oil in your kettle. I've got two going here. In your kettle, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and into that I'm going to put a couple of green onions, chopped up. And remember the old trick about chopping onions. Keep your fingers bent under. Just do this in a hurry, because this will just add to the flavor of the sauce, you see? Into the kettle it goes. We'll begin sauteing those right away. Oh, you can see? Wonderful, wonderful sound. I want about 3 cloves of garlic. This is my own recipe, so if you are all upset over the fact that I put too much garlic in the clams, why, just calm down and write your own. Okay, into the kettle they go. There we are. Now let that cook for just a minute. Sauté is the word. Sauté means you keep it moving around. And the word sauté, you remember, comes from the French term to jump, jump, jump. So you just stir them around for a minute. Over high heat. That sounds like the Liberty Bell. Is American cooking fun? I'm really having a great time with this whole series. All right, that's long enough. Now we're going to add, after we saute this, we're going to add a bit of celery top. About, half a cup would be fine. Half a cup of celery tops. And we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of chopped parsley. I have this all ready because I want us to, I've just so much good seafood to show you today, I can't believe it. And some white wine, about half a cup. There we are. And some black pepper. I'm not going to have to add any salt, of course, because seafood has enough salt in it already. So there we are. Now, into that goes 3 or 4 pounds of clams, 5 pounds, whatever you want to do. I've got about 4 pounds I want to put in here. That should do it. Remember now, don't put a clam in. Don't put a clam in that isn't tightly closed. You see, this is a tightly closed clam. If he's open a bit, it means that he is either in retirement or dead. And in either circumstance, you don't want him. So just get rid of him. There we go. Mix that all up. Put the lid on the kettle. Take about 8 minutes. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. This time with a very different creature. But let me get my beginnings going here. My beginnings going? Yes. 1/4 cup, same recipe, but a different product. 1/4 cup of olive oil into a kettle. My pan's already hot. Into that I want to put 3 cloves of garlic. There we go. Remember this? And then a couple of green onions chopped. Now this time I'm ahead of you, you see. Okay, let those cook for a minute or so. Wow, look at them jump around. I don't have to saute these. These are alive. These are just alive. Now then I'm going to add my, again, celery tops, about 1/2 cup of celery. If you don't have leaves, why, you can use your regular celery. It's all right. And some parsley. There we go. A little white wine. Remember, about 1/2 cup. There we go. And some black pepper. But this time, I'm going to put in a creature that you have never seen, I'm sure. These are pink scallops from Puget Sound. The only place you can find these anywhere in the world are in our bay, Puget Sound. Aren't they gorgeous? Now, I want to keep a couple of these, and let me throw these in the pot so that they'll get to cook. But I want to talk with you about the story behind this. It's kind of fun. I rinsed these off carefully, and I picked out any that had great big barnacles on them, because these live not down in the ground, down in the what's the word I want? The sand, but they live on the top of the sand. They're a very unusual creature. Let me stir that up. And we're going to have pink scallops today. Just terrific. There we go. All right. Get a lid on them. Now, here's my story. These are called these are called scooter scallops or singing scallops, because when they jump along, when they're in the bottom of the sea, you see, they sit on top of the sand. So in order to move about, they pull their their shell shut, and they can scoot. No kidding. You go into an aquarium, and they have a whole bin full of these things, and they're scooting all around the kids just, stand there fascinated, waiting for one to go. He jumps around. That's how he finds food. Isn't that interesting? There. All right. Clams and scallops, pink scallops from the Northwest. No, you'll not find these any other place. I'm sorry. If you want some, come to the Pacific Northwest and go to, someplace like Place Frugal in the public market. Wonderful things. They'll be ready in a few minutes. About 8 minutes in the pot now. Okay? Now, let's go on to some other dishes, because we have too many good things to show you this morning to even slow down. Another thing that's very, very popular in the Pacific Northwest, of course, is blessed salmon. Now, when I say blessed salmon, I mean, you remember the one that Solly was showing me? This is a salmon. Everything else is inferior. And when you buy a salmon, first of all, if you live in any other place in Seattle, why, you're going to pay a fortune. But look how clear his eye is, you see? See how shiny and clear? Why, quiet. He's just wonderfully fresh. That's how I check. Secondly, check to be sure the gills are nice and pink underneath here, you see? He's beautiful salmon. Look how pink and lovely the meat is. You see? He's just as fresh and as lovely can be. Oh, dear heart, we'll talk after class, all right? We'll have a good time together, too. Now, I've already... there. That rascal's heavy. I've already filleted some salmon. And when you do that, please don't throw away the skin and the bones. I've already filleted several salmon for today. Don't throw this away. The skin and the bone and the head make the most wonderful soup stock you can imagine. This is great stuff. So now I'm going to set up a wonderful course called pickled salmon. It's very popular in the Northwest and very easy to do. Let me check my clams here and see how we're doing. Not yet. No, not yet. We're doing fine. Okay. About 2 pounds of salmon. Now, you see how beautifully this is sliced? Now, Solly, do you remember the fellow that you saw in the public market, the fish man? He said, when you're making pickled salmon, be sure and get rid of all of the bones and all of the fat, because the bones hold on to fat, and it's the fat that will get rancid. So we very carefully removed all of the bone and all of the skin. That's where the fat is, so that we have nothing but salmon. All right, here we go. I want about 3 tablespoons of salt for the fish. Now, don't panic. It's all right. We let this sit overnight with all of this salt on it, and it draws out the moisture. Got that? There. All right. Now, let's pretend this is overnight. The next day, you rinse this off with fresh cold water. There we go. And you're ready to begin the pickling process. It's really quite simple. There. And I think it's utterly delicious, just utterly delicious. I've got to check my clams again. No, not quite. It hasn't been 8 minutes, but we'll get there. All right, now then, the next day, you put in 1/3 of a cup of wine vinegar, or white vinegar, whichever you prefer. I'm going to use just regular white vinegar, about 1/3 of a cup, and a tablespoon of brown sugar. Sugar on fish, just remember that the vinegar is too acidic. You have to calm it down. All right, let that sit now for a couple of days in the vinegar and brown sugar, just in your refrigerator. Now, after the 3rd day, which means we're 4 days on this dish already in the refrigerator, we're going to add about 1/2 tablespoon of pickling spices. It's right out of the old jar. Got that? Throw them right in there. And then we want to add a bit of lemon, and I'm going to throw in 6 or 7 lemon slices. This is really very attractive, too. It's just wonderful stuff. I think that's about right. And then we need to add some yellow onion, of course, or it wouldn't be pickling, right? What have I got? About a nice yellow onion, sliced thin. Mix that up. Let that sit another 3 days. I know this is not something you make when someone comes over at the last minute, unless, of course, it's your mother-in-law, and you say, well, I'll be ready for you in about 7 days. Just sit down. I'm sorry. It's not mother-in-laws, but unexpected guests, I think, are deplorable people. They have no reason to march into your house and expect to be fed unless they at least call you when they're 6 blocks away. That's important. Okay, let's put the salmon out. Now remember, the whole process takes 7 days. 1 day in salt, 1 day in salt, 3 days in sugar and vinegar, and then 3 more days. Quiet! My clams are done. I better shut them off. Oh, they're getting there, fine. And then 3 more days in the pickling spice itself. Isn't this gorgeous stuff? You can do something much more attractive than this. Craig helped me slice all of this, and he did such a gorgeous job, I hated to just throw it in a bowl. But it can't be helped. There you go. You understand that Craig is my cook. He helps me cook, and there's no way I could cook all of these dishes without help. And he's a blessing. He's also very skilled. Now, we're going to, let's put a little garnish on this. It's got to have something. How about some dead parsley? Oh, here we go. This doesn't look too bad. Okay, and here's some pickled salmon from the Pacific Northwest.